If you can see his face, he's really cute. And if you can't, well, imagine it. 2019 was my best recorded reading year. So let's talk about the stats for the books that I read, and then I will talk to you about my highlights of the year. The stats. I read 144 books and 89 authors. Of those 89 authors, 70% of them were female and 30% were authors of color. The 30% is much lower than I'd hoped, so I'm working towards raising that in 2020. For the 144 books, 19% were graphic novels. It's been a very long time since I've read a graphic novel, so I'm really pleased with the way that worked out. I've put a separate graphic novel goal for this year as well. I'm hoping to find a new favorite manga series. 5% of the books I read last year were classics. 15% were nonfiction. 26% were romance. 25% were science fiction and fantasy, and that leaves me with 10% that I counted as other. So my reading goals for 2019, let's go over those. I wanted to read 52 full-length novels, 52 novellas. I wanted to discover a new favorite author, read at least 6 classics, at least 6 nonfiction books, read more marginalized authors. I really should have put a number to that. Read a series from start to finish, reread a favorite book, read a 2019 new release, and read a book I already own. I did achieve the reading a book I already own, the 17%, and I read 15% new releases, so those 2 goals were definitely achieved. I reread favorite books from decades ago. I will link my vlog when I reread one of my favorite books from when I was a teenager. I read over 6 nonfiction books, over 6 classic books. I discovered many new favorite authors. You wait, I will tell you. I did not read 52 novellas, but I did read over 52 full-length novels. Discover a new favorite author. This is in the order that I discovered them. Nnedi Okorafor. I read the Binti trilogy in 2019 and I just loved it so much. I'm definitely going to have to A, get a physical copy of the omnibus for my shelves, and B, seek out more from Nnedi Okorafor because it was just so brilliantly imaginative, and I mean, I've got a thing for math-based world building when it comes to science fiction, so it kind of had me from the start. The second favorite author is Jen Lians, and despite the fact that I find the sequel to The Ruin of Kings to be a little bit disappointing, The Ruin of Kings is still, oh my gosh, so fantastic, and her method of world building and characterization is also really great. It resonates a lot with me. I'm really fascinated when I read them, so she remains on this list of new favorite authors. The third one is Alisha Rai. I really enjoy the way that she portrays mental illness, depression and anxiety, and my favorite book of hers is Wrong to Need You, which is the second book in her Forbidden Hearts series. I really liked it because the heroine is both a widow and bisexual, and, you know, I resonate with that. My fourth favorite author then becomes Rebecca Roanhorse. I read both books in the Sixth World series. I really loved the world building, the mythology that she used in the Sixth World series, but I especially love the way that she does pacing and action, because it really had me continuing to read from beginning to end. I did not want to put down these books. They were so incredible. My next new favorite author is Martha Wells for the Murderbot books. The Murderbot books are my most read books of 2019. I read each of the Murderbot diaries. They are 4 novellas with a novel coming out this year. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. But they are 4 novellas and I read them each 3 times. Will I do that again in 2020? Yeah, probably. Murderbot has just become my comfort read whenever I am either in a reading slump or not feeling so well, especially because they're novellas. I can sit down and in the space of an evening read through one of the Murderbot diaries and feel much better by the end of it. And if I'm really feeling like binging, I have, 4 evenings worth of reading material right there. The next one is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I haven't read her fiction stuff, but I read both of her nonfiction feminist pieces that I could find, and I really love the ideas that she puts forth, and I find the way that she styles them is very powerful and it resonates a lot with me. My next favorite author is Jessie Mihalik, and she wrote the Consortium Rebellion series. The first book, Polaris Rising, I read twice last year, and I actually liked the second book better. She's styling it the same way that one would style a romance series with different couples per book, while each book is contributing to the larger development of this brewing war and political climate. And I found that the second book really built on the amazing world building that she did in book 1 and showed different facets of the world building. I can't wait for book 3 coming out. And also, it had a widow who had PTSD, and she was never treated as a damsel in distress. She always went out and found her own solutions and found her own happiness, and she was the one who was in control of that. My next new favorite author is a debut author, Farah Heron, and I loved The Chai Factor so much. I actually got to meet Farah Heron last year, and she is lovely in person. And she wrote a really funny book that also deals with some more serious issues like Islamophobia and sexism in STEM. And I really loved that book. I breezed right through it. I got a copy for my shelves. My next favorite author is Jen Wang, who wrote and illustrated The Prince and the Dressmaker. If you haven't read this graphic novel, oh my goodness, you should, because it is so cute and happy and fuzzy. And I basically devoured it in like an hour, even though I shouldn't have been holding anything with these wrists at that time. And my last new favorite author is Talia Hibbert. So Talia Hibbert wrote Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and it is my favorite book of the year. I won't say by far because Alyssa Cole, who is my favorite author in general, wrote one that is a very close contender. She wrote A Prince on Paper. But the reason that Get a Life, Chloe Brown ended up surpassing that for me was because of the chronic illness and the way that the chronic illness is portrayed in the heroine. It was shown, I feel, realistically, without judgment, and without making the heroine or the reader feel lesser for it. I really liked that, and plus the book was really funny, and the chemistry between the two characters, Chloe and Redford, was great, and the narration was really great. It really well done, and it resonated with me, and it was just great. Edgar's saying that I've been talking to you for way too long, so I'm going to end this here. I was going to show you my reading journal, but I will show that to you in another video while I go and answer that door. So until next time, happy reading!